The scholarship student suggested we go to a 9.99 all-you-can-eat crawfish buffet. Worried it wouldn't be clean, I refused and instead invited everyone to my family's restaurant. But after the meal, when I sent out the Venmo request to the group, the scholarship student led the charge in tearing me apart. "You greedy money-grubbing crooks. Even after a 50% discount, it's still 25? Why don't you just rob us? And we're supposed to be your classmates? How could you rip us off like this? Have you no shame? Well, I'm only sending you 9.99, take it or leave it. Honestly, you're probably still making a profit at that price." After that, she started posting all over social media, slandering my family's restaurant, claiming the ingredients were old and gave people food poisoning. The rest of my classmates followed her lead, paying only 9.99, and joining in on the attacks in our group chat. Furious, I went to confront her, but she shoved me down a flight of stairs, killing me. A few days later, my family's restaurant went bankrupt because of the rumors. Devastated by the double blow, my parents died of broken hearts. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day our class was planning that dinner. This time, I was the first one to back her up. In this life, I'm going to make sure everyone finds out that a 9.99 buffet can actually kill you. I know the perfect place for our dinner. It's only 9.99 for all-you-can-eat crawfish. Unlike Neptune's Catch Buffet, which charges $49 a person. That's total highway robbery. The scholarship student, Sarah, was shouting excitedly. I looked around the familiar classroom. On the blackboard were the words, "Welcome, freshmen." That's when I realized I had been reborn. I was back at the beginning of my freshman year, on the day our class was planning a group dinner. In my last life, when Sarah suggested the 9.99 crawfish buffet, I was the first to object. My family was also in the buffet business, so I knew that you get what you pay for. A 9.99 price point couldn't even cover the cost of the ingredients. The food had to be bad. So I argued against it and invited everyone to my family's restaurant instead, even convincing my dad to give all my classmates a 50% discount. I never expected that after the dinner, Sarah would be the first one in the group chat to call my family scammers, with the entire class piling on to insult me. Not only that, but she also smeared our restaurant online, causing our business to plummet. When I went to confront her, she just smirked. "Chloe, don't think you're so special just because your family's got some cash. I can't stand rich kids like you who love to flex. What's so wrong with a 9.99 buffet? What, is your stomach made of gold? You think you're gonna die from eating it? Do you have any idea that 25 is my food budget for a whole week? And you expect me to spend that on one meal? You were just trying to embarrass me, weren't you? Actually, I know your family's restaurant has fresh food and is definitely worth the $49 price tag. The discounted 25 was probably just your cost. But I just don't like you, so I spread those rumors on purpose. What are you gonna do about it?" Hearing that, I trembled with rage. I lunged forward and grabbed her collar, demanding she clear my name in the group chat. But she just shoved me down the stairs. My head hit the ground hard, and I died on the spot. My parents, hit with that double tragedy, spent their days in tears and eventually died of grief. "Chloe, I heard Neptune's Catch is your family's place. I just have to ask, at $49 a person, is your profit margin over 95%? You people are shameless." Sarah suddenly raised her voice, directing her question at me. In an instant, all my classmates turned to look at me. After snapping back to reality, I smirked and said with deliberate arrogance, "The profit's definitely not bad, but not as crazy as you're making it sound." Hearing my reply, Sarah rolled her eyes in disgust. "See? I told you they were crooks, just squeezing money out of regular people like us. I guess the bigger the restaurant, the more rotten it is. No one's money grows on trees. We'd be better off going to the place I recommended. For just 9.99, you get all-you-can-eat crawfish. What a steal." Being called a crook in front of everyone. No one would stand for that. In my last life, I had torn her apart with a barrage of retorts that left her speechless. But this time, I was determined not to let them set foot in my family's restaurant. I wanted to see for myself what a 9.99 buffet was really like. Just when everyone expected me to stand up and argue, I just smiled sweetly at Sarah and agreed with her. I think the place Sarah recommended sounds great. It's cheap, and we can eat our fill. We're all students, so a good deal is what matters most. Hearing this, Sarah froze for a second before lifting her chin mockingly. Well, look at that. Looks like the little crook has seen the light. I guess you're not a total lost cause, Chloe. Just then, the class beauty Jessica, who was standing next to me, tugged on my sleeve and whispered, Chloe, your family's restaurant, Neptune's Catch, is really famous. A big brand like that is trustworthy. Can you get us a discount so we can go there? Before I could even refuse, Sarah shot up from her seat. She walked over to Jessica and snapped, Jessica, didn't you hear what I just said? I told you, they're scammers trying to rip us off. It's not worth the money. Why are you still sucking up to her? You may be pretty, but you're an idiot. Are you deaf or something? Jessica's face turned bright red. I just don't want to eat at a 9.99 buffet, she said, looking hurt. I'm worried I'll get food poisoning. Seeing Sarah clench her fists, ready to explode, I cut her off. My family's restaurant never does discounts, not even for classmates, I said to Jessica. And 49 is a bit steep for students. Most of our customers are business people. Besides, it's crawfish season right now. I think Sarah's idea is perfect. Crawfish and beer, that's what college life is all about. I don't think everyone should be so against it. Since Sarah is recommending it so strongly, let's just go check it out. If the food looks sketchy, we just won't eat it. We can even post a warning online for everyone else. When I said there would be no discount, the other students started chiming in. Yeah, $49 a person is a little expensive. I have so much stuff I need to buy for the semester. I have to spend money everywhere. Then we might as well go for the 9.99 crawfish. That's the perfect summer vibe, right? Exactly. For 9.99, you can't go wrong. With most of the class in agreement, the class president, Ryan, made the final call. All right, since everyone agrees on the 9.99 crawfish, let's pack up and get ready to go. Sarah sent the location, so everyone can just grab a rideshare over there. A sly, triumphant smile flashed across Sarah's face. Suddenly, a question popped into my head. Why was Sarah so insistent that we go to this particular restaurant? In my previous life, I never understood it, even up to the moment I died. All I did was not go to the place she recommended. Why did she hate me so much for it? Could she have a financial stake in this place? With that thought, I quickly texted my best friend and resident gossip queen, Jenna, asking her to do some digging and find the connection. At 7 p.m., all 50 students from our class had finally arrived. Jessica got out of the car clutching her purse, a disgusted look on her face. What is this dump, she complained. It took 40 minutes and 30 to get here. That just adds to the cost, doesn't it? But Sarah, acting like a little hostess, greeted her with a smile. Hey, it's a rustic spot. Of course it's a little out of the way. Look, we're surrounded by rice paddies. The owner raises these crawfish himself, they're super fresh. She pointed to 5 large baskets of live crawfish by the entrance. Seeing the lively, wriggling crawfish, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. They started praising her. The place Sarah recommended is actually pretty nice. It's a bit remote, but at least we're close to nature. It has a nice rustic feel. Totally. Look how fresh these crawfish are. We're in for a treat. Getting all-you-can-eat fresh crawfish for $9.99 is such a steal. Watching Sarah so skillfully introduce everything, I had a pretty good idea of what was going on. So, I decided to test my theory. Sarah, you seem to know this place really well. Are you sure it's your first time here? My question made a flicker of panic cross her eyes, but she quickly composed herself and explained. Of course. I just did a ton of research online beforehand. That's why I'm so familiar with it. The owner quickly chimed in. Right, it's the first time I've seen this young lady. I should thank her for bringing you all here. How about this? Since so many of you came to support my business today, besides the crawfish, I'll throw in some free appetizers for you all. Gus, a student who weighed about 200 pounds, patted his stomach and asked, Hey owner, are the drinks free too? Before the owner could reply, Sarah blurted out, No way. he'd lose his shirt. Realizing her response sounded a little too natural, she quickly changed the subject. Everyone, let's go get some food before the crawfish gets cold. Seeing the similar expressions on Sarah's and the owner's faces only strengthened my suspicion. They had to be related. Sure enough, just then, a message from Jenna came through. Chloe, the owner's name is Mr. Miller. He used to be a crawfish farmer back in his hometown. He just opened this place this year. The weird thing is, there are no negative reviews online. Then she added, but you know who your bestie is, right? I spent a little cash to ask some of the locals. And it turns out Mr. Miller has a daughter who goes to our university. I think she's even in your major. You probably know her. So that was it. Sarah was Mr. Miller's daughter. She had just taken her mother's last name. Now I finally understood everything. I understood why she hated me with such a passion in my last life just for refusing to eat here. But still, all-you-can-eat crawfish for $9.99 a person couldn't possibly make money. Why was Sarah so desperate for us to come here? With that thought, I picked up a plate and walked over to the buffet line. One quick glance was all it took. I could tell that all the crawfish, despite looking delicious, were dead. And they'd been dead for a long time. After all, my family had been in the restaurant business since I was a kid. I'd seen it all and could spot fresh ingredients from a mile away. It was just that the spicy and extra spicy crawfish were so heavily seasoned that the original taste of the food was completely masked. A normal person wouldn't be able to tell. Seeing everyone chugging down ice-cold drinks to combat the spice, I finally understood. The owner was making his money on the drinks. The $9.99 crawfish was just a gimmick. When I returned to the table with an empty plate, Sarah looked at me, confused. Chloe, why aren't you eating? Is it not to your taste? I put on a frustrated expression. Ugh, it's so annoying. My mom just called and said she scheduled an endoscopy for me tomorrow morning. She told me I absolutely can't eat anything tonight. With that, I pretended to slam my phone down on the table angrily. Sarah glanced at me skeptical. Miss Princess, you're not just making up an excuse because you're too good for this place, are you? I immediately got defensive. What are you talking about? I love crawfish. Why else would I have recommended we all come here? To make her believe me, I put my phone on speaker and angrily called my mom. Mom, can you cancel the endoscopy for tomorrow? I really want to eat crawfish tonight. I'm going to eat. On the other end of the line, my mom's stern voice came through. Chloe, don't be willful. You know you have a sensitive stomach. You have to go for the checkup tomorrow. If you don't listen to me and eat tonight, it will affect the results, and I won't give you your allowance for this month. Then she hung up. I started to cry. You see, I sobbed. My mom's always been like this, always using my allowance to threaten me. Sarah finally relented. Okay, I was just kidding. Don't eat then. Your health is more important. I pretended to watch my classmates feast with an envious look on my face, but I was really keeping a close eye on Sarah's every move. These crawfish had been dead for days. There was no way Sarah didn't know. Soon I discovered the trick. Every time Sarah went to get crawfish, she only took the garlic butter ones from a specific corner. I immediately understood what was going on. The garlic butter crawfish were made with very little seasoning, not even much salt, so most people found them unappetizing. But those were the only fresh ones, which is why she dared to eat them. Suddenly, with a cry of oops, Gus dropped a whole plate of crawfish on the floor. The owner winced, looking pained. What a shame. Such a waste of good food. Gus, however, was not happy. Isn't it all you can eat? He demanded loudly. Those crawfish on the floor are the same as if I ate them. What do you mean a waste? Sarah quickly rushed over to explain. The owner didn't mean it like that. He's just an honest guy who's not good with words. He just hates to see food wasted. After saying that, she secretly tugged on the owner's sleeve and led him toward the back kitchen. Pretending I needed to use the restroom, I quietly followed them. I overheard the owner scolding her. You damn girl, how can that fat friend of yours eat so much? I counted, he's had 12 plates already. If he keeps eating like this, I'm going to lose my shirt. Sarah put a finger to her lips in a shoo gesture. Dad, she reasoned, they're all dead crawfish. If they don't eat them, They'll just rot and you'll have to throw them in the toilet. What are you so worried about? The owner patted her on the head, a look of pride on his face. You're right. These things have been dead for 3 days. If you hadn't brought your classmates here today, I'd probably have to toss them all. I guess I didn't waste my money sending you to college. You're smart, coming up with a sneaky plan like this to get rid of these stinking dead crawfish. Just from the drinks alone, we'll probably make $2,000 or $3,000. You should bring them here more often. As he spoke, he smugly started pouring some colored liquid into empty bottles. I quickly filmed the entire scene. Then I returned to my table, pretending I hadn't seen a thing, and watched as he restocked the fridge with case after case of those drinks. Through my observation, I noticed that besides Sarah, who only ate the garlic butter crawfish, the class president, Ryan, also stuck to the garlic butter ones, saying he couldn't handle spicy food. Just as he picked up an iced Coke and was about to drink it, I quickly stopped him. You have a sensitive stomach. You probably shouldn't drink anything ice cold. With that, I took a bottle of water out of my bag and handed it to him. The other students immediately started teasing us. Ooh, look at you two. Yeah, Chloe's so concerned about the class president. You two have a thing for each other. Hey, my stomach's not feeling great either. How come someone didn't notice that? Amid the laughter, Ryan's face quickly turned red. He stammered, You guys, don't be ridiculous. We just started college, Chloe and I have barely even spoken. But well, who knows what the future holds? Hearing this, Sarah's expression suddenly changed. She quickly tried to defuse the situation. Exactly. We all just met. How could anyone develop feelings so quickly? As she spoke, she shyly peeled a crawfish and placed it on Ryan's plate. Well, now I understood. Sarah had a crush on the class president. So in my last life, her hatred for me was also fueled by the fact that Ryan had shown a little bit of interest in me. In the first life, when Sarah was accusing me, Ryan was the only one who stood up for me. But back then, in her quest for revenge, Sarah had baselessly accused him of being biased and forced him to pick a side. Left with no choice, Ryan also paid just the $9.99. But he later privately messaged me and sent me the rest of the money. So it seems that by stopping him from drinking that soda, I not only prevented him from discovering anything unusual, but also saved him from getting sick. Soon everyone was finished eating. Just as we were getting ready to head back to campus, Gus suddenly clutched his stomach. You guys wait for me, I gotta use the restroom, he called out. Jessica frowned, a puzzled look on her face. You didn't get food poisoning, did you? Does that mean the crawfish? Before she could finish, Sarah quickly interjected. Gus ate at least 20 pounds of crawfish. Even an iron stomach couldn't handle that much. Don't worry, the crawfish are perfectly fine. 10 minutes later, Gus still hadn't come out. Everyone checked their phones and saw it was already 9 p.m., so they hurried back to campus. At midnight, a message suddenly appeared in our class group chat from our academic advisor. Gus has been taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. He came back to the dorm looking pale and couldn't stop vomiting. What did you all eat at your dinner tonight? Everyone was shocked. No way. Is it that serious? Crap, I've had diarrhea ever since I got back too. You're kidding, right? I've gone twice since I got back but was too embarrassed to say anything. Damn, I thought it was just because I ate too much spicy food. My stomach has been churning. Oh my god, it couldn't really be the crawfish, could it? In an instant, the group chat exploded. Jessica immediately tagged Sarah and demanded, Sarah, don't you think you should explain what's going on? Why are you playing dead now? No wonder my stomach has been feeling weird since I got back. I just thought I was getting my period. Thank God I only ate a few. If I'd eaten more, would I be in the hospital too? The class president, Ryan, also posted anxiously, Sarah, you need to ask the owner what's going on quickly. But Sarah just replied calmly, Class president, let me ask you, are you feeling sick at all right now? A few seconds later, Ryan replied, To be honest, I feel perfectly fine. That gave Sarah the confidence she needed. She immediately shot back in the group chat. See everyone? The class president and I both ate and we're fine. What makes you so sure it's the crawfish? Who knows what other junk you all ate, but you just jump to conclusions and blame the crawfish. The poor crawfish are innocent, okay? Maybe you should look at yourselves for the cause. Jessica, not willing to back down, continued to press her. I can't speak for anyone else, but all I ate tonight were a few crawfish, and my stomach is also upset. How do you explain that? I just don't get it. All we're asking is for you to check with the owner if the crawfish were fresh, or if he put anything weird in them. Why are you having such a strong reaction? Are you in on it with that owner? Sarah was furious. She unleashed a tirade in the group chat. Jessica, are you out of your mind? That owner is just a simple, honest farmer. He let everyone eat their fill for $9.99. What kind of money could he possibly be making? Why are you slandering him like this? If I was in on it with the owner, I'd be acting like Chloe's family and charging you all $49 a person. Then I'd really be raking it in, wouldn't I? Then she tagged me. Chloe, am I right or am I right? It was hilarious. Sarah was as stubborn as a mule. She wouldn't admit anything without hard evidence. But it wasn't time yet. The fire hadn't reached its peak. So I smirked and replied calmly, "You're right about everything, but the fact is everyone is sick right now. Isn't it perfectly normal to ask you to check with the owner? You're the one who knows the owner best out of the whole class. Just asking won't kill you. Poisoning people is no small matter. He could even go to jail." Seeing that I wasn't defending her, Sarah got so mad she sent a voice message blasting me. Chloe, are you out of your mind too? What do you mean, poisoning people? The hospital hasn't even released a report yet, and you're already spreading rumors. You're trying to drive that poor owner into the ground, aren't you? Do you have any idea how hard it is for him? One word from you, food poisoning, could destroy his entire business. How can you be so vicious? I froze for a moment. Those words sounded so familiar. But in my last life, she was the one who had deliberately spread rumors to destroy my family's business. This time, all I did was ask a few questions, and she was attacking me like a rabid dog. I guess you never feel the sting of the whip until it hits your own back. Seeing us arguing endlessly in the group chat, the advisor quickly stepped in. All right, that's enough. Stop fighting. Once the hospital results are out, we'll know the truth. The chat finally went quiet. Soon, I heard the door of the dorm room next to me open. Someone in slippers was running out in a hurry. Sarah lived in the room next door. I quickly got out of bed and followed her. I found her on the phone in the hallway. Using the dim light, I turned on my phone's video recorder. Let's see you try to deny it this time. Sarah was holding her phone, her face pale with panic. Dad, what's going on? She asked urgently. How did my classmates get so sick they ended up in the hospital? Tell me the truth, how long were those crawfish dead? After hearing the answer from the other end, Sarah stumbled and nearly fell to the ground. Her voice was trembling with emotion. Dad, are you crazy? You dared to serve crawfish that had been dead for a week to my classmates? You were trying to kill them. I told you, as soon as the crawfish die, you have to freeze them immediately. That way, they won't taste too different when you cook them. I told you to buy another freezer, but you wouldn't listen. Now you have so many dead crawfish that you just left them soaking in water? How could you be so careless? I don't know what the person on the other end said, but it made Sarah even more agitated. She screamed into the phone, her voice thick with tears. Are you insane? The drink mix was from a street vendor, too? I told you I would help you build up the family business. Why wouldn't you trust me? If something happens to my classmates, we're both finished. We could even go to jail. With that, she hung up and squatted on the ground, sobbing. At 3 a.m, the advisor sent another message. Gus has just passed away. His parents are on their way to the hospital. Any other students who are feeling unwell should come to the hospital for a checkup immediately. Even though I was expecting it, my heart still lurched. After all, someone had died, and I could have prevented this tragedy. But in my last life, Gus had been one of the many who had insulted me in the group chat. He had eaten enough for 2 or 3 people, meaning my family didn't even make back our cost on him. Yet he had joined Sarah in smearing my family online, calling us all greedy, rotten crooks. After I died, he had just scoffed dismissively. Oh, the scammer's dead? Nothing to feel sorry about. Thinking of that, my last bit of pity vanished. A strange sense of satisfaction washed over me. When I came back to my senses, the group chat had been flooded with over 99 new messages. Everyone was in a panic. Oh my God, someone died. What are we going to do? It's over. My roommate is unconscious. Someone call an ambulance for me. I can't get up from the bathroom floor. Help, why do I feel so weak all of a sudden? Realizing this was a mass poisoning event, the advisor immediately called the university president. That night, ambulances from all over the city rushed to our campus. One after another, they drove off toward the hospital. It was quite a spectacle. Seeing the three of us standing there as if nothing was wrong, the advisor urged us on. You three, get in one of the ambulances. You need to go to the hospital and get checked out. Sarah resisted. I feel fine. I don't think I need to go to the hospital. She turned and started walking back toward the dorms. I grabbed her arm and said loudly, Sarah, how can you be so careless with your health? The whole class is poisoned. You ate the crawfish too, so there's no way you're immune. You have to come with us to the hospital and get checked out. Trying to run at a critical moment like this? Not a chance. I had heard that Gus's parents were not people to be messed with. He was their only precious son. When they found out it was Sarah's family who had poisoned him, they would tear her apart. The thought of it filled me with a wild joy. I couldn't wait to see this drama unfold. Sarah, of course, knew this too, which was why she was refusing to get into the ambulance. In the end, under the pretext of looking out for her well-being, Ryan and I had to physically lift her into it. Once we got to the hospital, many of the students' parents had also arrived. Seeing the three of us looking completely fine, Jessica pointed a finger at Sarah and screamed, Sarah, you murderer! You're the one who insisted we go to that 9.99 crawfish buffet, saying it was all natural and pollution-free. You ended up harming the entire class. Gus just ate a few extra plates of crawfish, and he died from food poisoning. How are you going to pay for that, you killer? As soon as she finished speaking, a middle-aged couple rushed out from nowhere. Before anyone could react, the man kicked Sarah to the ground. Immediately after, the woman straddled her, frantically slapping her face and screaming, You little bitch, give me back my son. If it wasn't for you, you broke piece of trash, insisting on going to a 9.99 buffet, my son wouldn't have been poisoned. You worthless dog. 10 of your lives wouldn't be worth one of my sons. I'm going to kill you and avenge my son. With that, her eyes turned bloodshot as she wrapped her hands around Sarah's neck. The advisor saw what was happening and rushed forward to pull her off. Mrs. Gua, please calm down. The autopsy results aren't out yet. But the next second, Gus's father shoved the advisor away with immense force. He grabbed the advisor's collar and roared, My son just started college 2 days ago and now he's dead. How does your school supervise its students? I'm not done with you or this school. I'll deal with you all later. None of you are getting away with this. But today this little bitch Sarah has to die. Whoever tries to stop me gets hurt. I suggest you all mind your own business. Looking at the 6 feet 3 inches, 200-pound man in front of him, the advisor knew he was no match and didn't dare to intervene again. He could only watch as Gus's parents beat and kicked her. The surrounding students were all terrified. No one dared to call the police. Finally, hospital security guards rushed over. It took 5 of them to pull the man away. Gus's father was still trying to attack, but he was stopped by the police who had just arrived. Sarah lay on the ground, bruised and bloody, weakly crying out, Help me! Somebody help me! I couldn't help but let a small, provocative smile slip onto my face. Sarah's eyes quickly caught my look of schadenfreude. She froze for a few seconds, then as if something had clicked, she glared at me with the same vicious hatred she had in our previous life, as if she wanted to tear me to pieces. Chloe, you're the real murderer. This was all your setup. Sarah struggled to her feet and suddenly roared at me. All the surrounding students immediately turned to look at me. I put on an innocent face. What are you talking about? What does this have to do with me? You're the one who chose the restaurant. You're the one who strongly recommended we all go. How is it that now that something's gone wrong, you're blaming me? Ryan also came to my defense. Yeah, what does Chloe have to do with any of this? She's never even been to that place. You can't just throw blame on her for everything. Sarah was trembling with rage. Her voice shook as she said, "It was Chloe. This was all her setup. Do you all remember? When I suggested we go for crawfish, she was the first one to agree. And think about it. Why did all of us who ate the crawfish get sick, but she's the only one who didn't eat? She must have known beforehand that there was something wrong with the crawfish, so she deliberately didn't eat." I threw my hands up in exasperation. My mom called me at the last minute and told me I had an endoscopy tomorrow morning and couldn't eat. What was I supposed to do? You all heard the call, didn't you? The way you're talking, you make it sound like I can see the future and conspired with my mom to put on a show for you. Sarah's face turned beet red. She pointed her finger at my nose and screamed, "You bitch! It's like you knew all of this in advance, and were just waiting for us to walk into your trap." I laughed in her face. I slapped her hard across the cheek and snapped, "Sarah, are you delusional? You're desperately trying to pin all the blame on me. Who was it that publicly called my entire family scammers in front of the class? Who was it that stopped everyone from going to my family's restaurant? Who was it that swore up and down that the crawfish at this place were fresh and perfectly fine? That filthy mouth of yours sounds like it was dredged up from a sewer. I just didn't want to argue with you, so I went along with your plan to eat at that place." At that moment, Sarah burst into maniacal laughter. "I get it now. You were reborn. You knew all of this was going to happen." As soon as she said that, the crowd of onlookers couldn't help but cover their mouths and snicker. This girl is insane. Looks like she escaped from a mental hospital. Thinks she's in a novel or something. Reborn, really? This is hilarious. Seeing that no one believed her, Sarah grabbed a police officer's hand in desperation and shrieked hysterically, "Officer, this was all Chloe's setup. She deliberately made us go eat those crawfish to poison the whole class." The officer, of course, didn't believe her nonsense and snapped coldly, "Ms. Xia, stop making baseless accusations. We will investigate and find out the truth." But Sarah wouldn't let it go, continuing to hurl insults at me. Now that things had reached this point, it was time to close the net. I calmly took a USB drive from my bag and handed it to the officer. "Hello, the truth of the matter is all on here. To avoid tipping them off, I had to secretly record this as evidence. If you project this, you'll see the whole story." The officer took the USB drive and immediately projected it onto the large screen at the nurse's station. On the screen, Sarah and the owner, Mr. Miller, were whispering in the back kitchen. "Crawfish that's been dead for 3 days, deep fried over and over, then covered in spices, they'll never be able to tell. This drink powder actually looks pretty legit when you mix it. We can make a few thousand just from the fake drinks alone. Your classmates are as dumb as pigs. I don't know how they even got into college." The scene switched to the dormitory stairwell, where Sarah was on the phone, her face pale with panic. "Dad, what happened? My classmates are all poisoned. Dad, how could you leave crawfish that had been dead for a week just soaking in water instead of putting it in the freezer?" "What? The drink mix was from a street vendor, too? You're going to be the death of me." In that instant, everyone present stared with wide eyes. They never imagined that the owner of the crawfish restaurant was Sarah's father. This was all a scheme orchestrated by Sarah to make money off of them. Sarah's family's restaurant was the real scam, the real crooks. After a moment of shock, Jessica jumped to her feet and screamed, "Sarah, you backstabbing monster! How could you come up with such a wicked plan? You didn't just want our money, you wanted to kill us." Ryan's face darkened as he reprimanded her. "Sarah, how could you do something like this for money? This is a person's life we're talking about. How can you be such a compulsive liar and then turn around and frame Chloe? You are truly evil." Seeing the boy she liked look at her with such disgust, Sarah could no longer hold it together. She collapsed to the floor, sobbing. "You think I wanted to do this? If you had a monster for a father like mine, you would have done the same thing. My mother was beaten to death by my father just for giving birth to me, a daughter. But the villagers were too scared to call the police, so they just told everyone she died of an illness. I was beaten by that monster my whole life. I finally managed to convince him to let me go to college, but then he forced me to find ways to make money for him. He said if I didn't, He'd stop me from studying and beat me to death. Why is it that you all get to be born into comfortable lives, growing up with loving parents, while I have to tiptoe around him just to stay alive? Then she turned to me, her teeth clenched in hatred. Especially you, Chloe. Why were you born a little rich girl, carrying a Chanel bag to school? Even our classmates treat you differently just because you have money. I just can't stand rich people like you. She probably thought that her sob story would earn her some sympathy. But to her surprise, not a single person in the class forgave her. No one was a saint. Why should they have to pay the price for her jealousy? I looked at her and said coldly, "Don't make excuses for your evil. Some people, no matter how bad their circumstances, will always grow toward the light. But your wickedness is innate, it's in your bones. You say your dad forced you to do all this, but you're an adult, a college student. You had hundreds of ways to seek help, to stop his crimes. But instead, you chose to be his accomplice. You brought all of this on yourself." Sarah was about to say something else, but she was cut off by Mr. Miller, who was being brought in by the police. "You bitch. If you dare to slander me again, I'll kill you right now. This was all your plan from the start. How dare you try to pin this on me?" He lunged at her, ready to attack. Looking at the dog-eat-dog scene before us, the police had no choice but to take them both away for questioning. The mass poisoning of an entire class became a huge scandal. The next day, it was the top story on the national news. 1 person dead, 7 in critical condition, 39 with minor poisoning, and only 3 unharmed. The National Health Commission sent a special task force to investigate. In the end, Mr. Miller was found guilty of producing and selling harmful food, and was sentenced to death. Sarah, as an accomplice, was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The university also expelled her. Unwilling to spend the best years of her life in prison, Sarah jumped from the roof of a school building the night before she was to be taken into custody. With my revenge complete, I applied to the university to change my major. Even though they hadn't hurt me in this life, they were all accomplices in my last one. I hold a grudge. I couldn't bring myself to coexist peacefully with future was waiting for me. End of story.